We are live.
Yay! Apologies, Wednesdays didn't happen. Um, I am officially a South Carolina resident. Um, I don't know if congratulations are in order or
Condolences.
condolences. Yeah. Uh, and also, Chris the Crow this morning became a official South Carolina resident. So again, congratulations or condolences. That's however you look at it. Um, but I do again apologize for Wednesday. We will try to get back on track with Wednesday's series with Lady Thistle and Lizzie. Hopefully, there is nothing that jumps in the way this year for live streams. Has just been crap. But this, I got my fingers crossed. So here we go.
Sammy's agreeing. Sammy's agreeing, apparently.
It's always
Hey,
good when
Sammy.
Sammy agrees. Today
Uh,
is Cat 4.
you don't need to chime in, Sammy.
It is Friday. I didn't get to say hump day on Wednesday, so that made my week a little bit less. So hopefully next hump day, everything goes according to plan and we keep this stuff rolling. So without any further ado, I am Old New Dude. He is,
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son.
and take it away, brains of the operation.
Storm 35, Catalan 4, Hoster's funeral. Let the kings of winter have their cold crypt under the earth, Catelyn thought. The Tullys drew their strength from the river, and it was to the river they returned when their lives had run their course. Or in her case, when the first of Cat's 9 lives had run its course. Or maybe, in a sense, it's actually, you could argue that it is the ninth life of the magic, right? Because we know that Beric had been brought back 6 times.
Mhm.
So that was his seventh death, as he passes his life force to Cat, and Cat has already died once. So in a way, that there have been 8 deaths of the two of them. Anyway,
That is interesting.
yeah. Lizzie says
And
it's
with
okay. I hear.
her
I believe in
nickname
you.
being Cat,
Yeah, exactly.
that
That's why I was like, Cat's 9 lives. Except, well, maybe there's just a total of 9 lives.
you gave me goosebumps at the very beginning. That
and
that is that,
hello, Chris, waving from beyond the wall. And we believe in Edmure too, Lizzie. All right. They laid Lord Hoster in a slender wooden boat, clad in shining silver armor, plate and mail. His cloak was spread beneath him, rippling blue and red. His surcoat was divided blue and red as well. A trout, scaled in silver and bronze, crowned the crest of the great helm they placed beside his head. On his chest they placed a painted wooden sword. His fingers curled about its hilt. Mail gauntlets hid his wasted hands and made him look almost strong again. His massive oak and iron shield was set by his left side, his hunting horn to his right. The rest of the boat was filled with driftwood and kindling and scraps of parchment and stones to make it heavy in the water. His banner flew from the prow, the leaping trout of Riveron.
so they put armor on him, but give him a wooden sword.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, it is a little weird. Yeah, it's but if you're trying to make him burn, then shouldn't the armor be flammable? But yeah, I don't know.
okay.
It was a little weird.
Well, I mean that would make him roast inside his armor, just like uh, um, Lord Rickon at King's Landing when he was roasted in his armor
Yep.
above the flames.
Hmm.
Okay.
Interesting. Yep. 7 were chosen to push the funereal boat to the water. In
Try
honor of
saying
the
that three
seven.
times fast.
Yeah, I even tried to spell it phonetically so I'd remember how to pronounce
What
it. But
madness
still,
is this?
in honor of the 7 faces of God. Rob was one. Lord Hoster's liege lord, his legion king, not Lord Cat. Anyway, isn't that weird? Isn't that weird that
Yeah.
she calls him his liege lord? Anyway, with him were the lords Bracken, Blackwood, Vance, and Mallister, Sir Mark Piper, and lame Lothar Frey, who had come down from the twins with the answer they had awaited. 40 soldiers rode in his escort, commanded by Walter Rivers, the eldest of Lord Walter's bastard brood, a stern, gray-haired man with a formidable reputation as a warrior. Their arrival, coming within hours of Lord Hoster's passing, had sent Edmure into a rage. Walter Frey should be flayed and quartered, he shouted. He sends a cripple and a bastard to treat with us. Tell me there's no insult meant by that. I have no doubt that Lord Walter chose his envoys with care, she replied. It was a peevish thing to do, a petty sort of revenge. But remember who we are dealing with. The late Lord Frey, father used to call him. The man is ill-tempered, envious, and above all, prideful. Blessedly, her son had shown better sense than her brother. Rob had greeted the phrase with every courtesy, found barracks space for the escort, and quietly asked Sir Desmond Grell to stand aside so Lothar might have the honor of helping to send Lord Hoster on his last voyage. He's learned a rough wisdom beyond his years, my son. House Frey might have abandoned the King of the North, but the Lord of the Crossing remained the most powerful of Riverrun's bannermen, and Lothar was here in his stead. The seven launched Lord Hoster from the water stair, wading down the steps as the portcullis was winched upward. Lothar Frey, a soft-bodied, portly man, was breathing heavily as they shoved the boat out into the current. Jason Malfster and Titus Blackwood, at the prow, stood chest-deep in the river to guide it on its way. Catelyn watched from the battlements, waiting and watching as she had waited and watched so many times before. Beneath her, the swift, wild Tumblestone plunged like a spear into the side of the broad Red Fork, its blue-white current churning the muddy red-brown flow of the greater river. A morning mist hung over the water, as thin as gossamer and the wisps of memory. Bran and Rickon will be waiting for him, Catelyn thought sadly, as once I used to wait. Our characters are often wrong.
Yep.
The slim boat drifted out from under the red stone arch of the water gate, picking up speed as it was caught in the headlong rush of the Tumblestone and pushed out into the tumult where the waters met. As the boat emerged from beneath the high sheltering walls of the castle, its square sail filled with wind, and Catelyn saw sunlight flashing on her father's helm. Lord Hoster Tully's rudder held true, and he sailed serenely down the center of the channel into the rising sun. Now, her uncle urged. Beside him, her brother Edmure, Lord Edmure now in truth, and how long would that take to grow used to, knocked an arrow to his bowstring. His squire held a brand to its point. Edmure waited until the flame caught, then lifted the great bow, drew the string to his ear, and let fly. With a deep thrum, the arrow sped upward. Catelyn followed its flight with her eyes and heart until it plunged into the water with a soft hiss, well astern of Lord Hoster's boat. Edmure cursed softly. The wind, he said, pulling a second arrow. Again. The brand kissed the oil-soaked rag behind the arrowhead. The flames went licking up. Edmure lifted, pulled, and released. High and far the arrow flew. Too far. It vanished in the river a dozen yards beyond the boat, its fire winking out in an instant. A flush was creeping up Edmure's neck, red as his beard. Once more, he commanded, taking a third arrow from the quiver. He's as tight as his bowstring, Catelyn thought. Sir Brendan must have seen the same thing. Let me, my lord, he offered. I can do it, Edmure insisted. He let them light the arrow, jerked the bow up, took a deep breath, drew back the arrow. For a long moment he seemed to hesitate while the fire crept up the shaft, crackling. Finally he released. The arrow flashed up, and finally curved down again, falling, and hissing past the billowing sail. A narrow miss, no more than a handspan, and yet a miss. Others take it, her brother swore, but was almost out of range, drifting in and out among the river mists. Wordless, Edmure thrust the bow at his uncle. Swiftly, Sir Brendan said. He knocked an arrow, held it steady for the brand, drew and released before Catelyn was quite sure that the fire had caught. But as the shot rose, she saw the flames trailing through the air, a pale orange pennon. The boat had vanished in the mists. Falling, the flaming arrow was swallowed up as well, but only for a heartbeat. Then, sudden as hope, they saw the red bloom flower. The sails took fire, and the fog glowed pink and orange. For a moment, Catelyn saw the outline of the boat clearly, wreathed in leaping flames.
Hey,
Watch for me, little.
Red bloom flower. So we got blue flower roses for Lyanna, and now we got a red flower for fire, and I'm assuming death.
Okay.
Nothing there, just something I thought.
No, red and blue being the fire and ice, basically. That makes sense.
Yeah. Also, never mind. I asked later. Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because the Swiftly, he's telling them that they're going to have to hurry up and with the brand, right? So that was one thing there, because it's like, wait, why is he the one saying Swiftly? Doesn't he the one that needs to hurry? No, he actually needs them to hurry up and light it, and he doesn't even wait. As soon as it's before anybody's even figured out that it's already lit, he's already off and shooting. And the gold flower, because they are awesome.
There you go.
Watch for me, little cat, she could hear him whisper. Catelyn reached out blindly, groping for her brother's hand, but Edmure had moved away to stand alone on the highest point of the battlements. Her Uncle Brendan took her hand instead, twining his strong fingers through hers. Together they watched the little fire grow smaller as the burning boat receded in the distance. And then it was gone, drifting down river still, perhaps, or broken up and sinking. The weight of his armor would carry Lord Hoster down to rest in the soft mud of the riverbed, in the watery halls where the Tullys held eternal court, the schools of fish their last attendants. It is interesting how they seem to have similar ideas of the afterlife as the Ironborn.
Yes. Well, you got to remember
Otherwise,
how long the Ironborn held the Riverlands too.
yeah, it's a good point that they were actually sworn to Harrenhal. So yeah, that's a good point. Mother Warren says, my father was from West Virginia. He would not have missed. I saw him shoot his bow and arrow, and it takes a lot of strength.
Yes, without a doubt. It's been some time since I got 2 bows. It's been some time since I shot. My arm strength and joints are not what they used to be, and so chances are they're not going to be shot ever again.
With these newer compound bows, you can get something that'll work.
Yeah, this is true.
No sooner had the burning boat vanished from their sight than Edmure walked off. Catelyn would have liked to embrace him, if only for a moment, to sit for an hour or a night or the turn of a moon to speak of the dead and mourn. Yet she knew as well as he that this was not the time. He was Lord of Riverrun now, and his knights were falling in around him, murmuring condolences and promises of fealty, walling him off from something as small as his sister's grief. Edmure listened, hearing none of the words.
Also, you got to remember, Edmure is shooting an arrow from the battlements into the river at his father. So I would assume that would be, regardless of how good of an archer he is, just with the either shooting the bow or shooting a firearm, there are certain things that you do to calm yourself, the holding of the breath. I would assume that it was a stressful time for him. So I do, yeah.
Maybe it makes that shot easy.
Yeah, without a doubt. I would put it more on the stress of the day versus Edmure's abilities.
And he missed, and then he overcompensated, and then he had it almost perfect, but not quite.
Right.
Justice for Edmure's reputation. Yeah, well, especially with the way the show did it. But anyway.
Yeah, the show made it. Yeah.
It is no disgrace to miss your shot, her uncle told her quietly. Edmure should hear that. The day my own lord father went down river, Hoster missed as well. With his first shaft, Catelyn had been too young to remember, but Lord Hoster had often told the tale. His second found the sail, she sighed. Edmure was not as strong as he seemed. Their father's death had been a mercy when it came at last, but even so, her brother had taken it hard, and that's your point right there.
Yeah.
Last night in his cups, he'd broken down and wept, full of regrets for things undone and words unsaid. He ought never to have ridden off to fight this battle on the fords, he told her tearfully. He should have stayed at their father's bedside. I should have been with him as you were, he said. Did he speak of me at the end? Tell me true, Cat. Did he ask for me? Lord Hoster's last word had been Tansy, but Catelyn could not bring herself to tell him that. He whispered your name, she lied, and her brother had nodded gratefully and kissed her hand. If he had not tried to drown his grief and guilt, he might have been able to bend a bow, she thought to herself, sighing, but that was something else she dare not say. The Blackfish escorted her down from the battlements to where Robb stood among his bannermen, his young queen at his side. When he saw her son took her silently in his arms. Hey, if he was that hungover, it's kind of impressive that he almost made the third one. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he doesn't miss by an awful lot. I mean, like I said, they're up in the battlements.
No, they say that he barely misses in the third one.
Yeah.
When he saw her son took her silently in his arms. Lord Hoster looked as noble as a king, my lady, murmured Jane. Would that I had been given the chance to know him. And I to know him better, added Robb. He would have wished that too, said Catelyn. There were too many leagues between Riverrun and Winterfell, and too many mountains and rivers and armies between Riverrun and the Eyrie, it would seem. Lysa had made no reply to her letter. And from King's Landing came only silence as well. By now she had hoped that Brienne and Sir Cleos would have reached the city with their captive. It might even be that Brienne was on her way back and the girls with her. Sir Cleos swore he would make the imp send a raven once the trade was made. He swore it. Ravens did not always win through. Some bowman could have brought the bird down and roasted him for supper. The letter that would have set her heart at ease might even now be lying by the ashes of some campfire beside a pile of raven bones.
I have a quick question. Is it unwise or improper or just commonly not done that ravens and crows aren't eaten, or are they regularly eaten for food?
Oh well, we see people shooting them down all the time in the military, right? So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. But I'm talking.
I've seen
Is
people eat
is
them.
there a stigmata or a bad omen for?
Not that we've been told, as far as I can recall.
Okay.
I think it would be. I think the people who appreciate the trained birds would probably consider it a heck of a waste.
Yeah.
Others were waiting to offer Rob their consolations, so Captain stood aside patiently while Lord Jason Mallister, the Great John, and Sir Rolf Spicer spoke to him each in turn. When Lothar Frey approached, she gave his sleeve a tug. Rob turned and waited to hear what Lothar would say. Your Grace, a plump man in his middle 30s, Lothar Frey had close-set eyes, a pointed beard, and dark hair that fell to his shoulders in ringlets. A leg twisted at birth had earned him the name Lame Lothar. He'd served as his father's steward for the past dozen years. We are loath to intrude upon your grief, but perhaps you might grant us audience tonight? People don't eat predators, says Mother Owen.
Okay. Thank you, Mother.
It would be my pleasure, said Rob. It was never my wish to sow enmity between us. Nor mine to be the cause of it, said Queen Jane. Lothar Frey smiled. I understand, as does my lord father. He instructed me to say that he was young once, and well remembers what it's like to lose one's heart to beauty. Catelyn doubted very much Lord Walter had said any such thing, or that he had ever lost his heart to beauty. Lord of the Crossing had outlived 7 wives and was now wed to his 8th, but he spoke of them only as bedwarmers and broodmares. Still, the words were fairly spoken, and she could scarce object to the compliment, nor did Rob. Your father is most gracious, he said. I shall look forward to our talk. Lothar bowed, kissed the queen's hand, and withdrew. By then a dozen others had gathered for a word. Rob spoke with them each, giving a thanks here, a smile there as needed. Only when the last of them was done did he turn back to Catelyn. There is something we must speak of. Will you walk with me? As you command, your grace. That wasn't a command, mother. It will be my pleasure, then. Her son had treated her kindly enough since returning to Riverrun, yet he seldom sought her out. If he was more comfortable with his young queen, she could scarcely blame him. Jane makes him smile, and I have nothing to share with him but grief. He seemed to enjoy the company of his bride's brothers as well. Young Rollum, his squire, and Sir Reynold, his standard-bearer. They're standing in the boots of those he's lost, Catelyn realized when she watched them together. Rollum has taken Bran's place, and Reynold is part Theon and part Jon Snow. Only with the Westerlands did she see Rob smile, or hear him laugh like the boy he was. To the others, he was always the king of the north, head bowed beneath the weight of the crown, even when his brows were bare.
Okay. That sentence right there is one of the reasons that I think that Rob is living a third life with Ghost inside Sir Reynard. That Reynard has replaced Theon and John, and I would put it more on probably the John aspect of the loss than the Theon. And then we're talking. I know this is a little out of the character for the chapter, but we're mentioning the person I think that is all right. Rob is killed. Reynard surrenders. Then they shoot the wolf. They kill the wolf. Then Reynard goes crazy, running into the river with a couple of bolts in him. If he surrendered before they killed Grey Wind, why would that cause him to just go start? Yeah, no, thank you. Why would that cause him to just go batshit crazy? You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think that Rob is living a third life, and Ghost is living, or Grey Wind is living a second life, and then there's a mesh of Rob, Grey Wind, and Reynard inside Reynard. Oh, you hush! Don't you go away! Well, you ain't getting no Christmas present. Come on now.
Explain to me how Second Life works again. So remember how Second Life works again. Like, according to Verimir, and he's able to peek inside and see people everywhere along the way and see what's going on. According to him, you gradually fade and become more and more the animal, right? So a weak animal with a strong human is still going to become the weak animal. That's why all these theories about people like skin changing humans and stuff, I'm like, does it matter if it's just you're just gonna turn into the other one anyway, right? You're gonna blend with them and become more them and less you. Like
Okay,
that's
I
why I'm
agree
always
with
skeptical on these theories.
everything that you're saying, but we're taking Verimir's word
Yeah, but
on
he
it.
can see that. He peeks into people's minds and can see these things.
I know he's peeked into the
He's
bird.
crushed. He's crushed them before. He knows. He knows where they are along and how long it takes because he's
Now
watched this.
he's an extremely powerful skin changer. So
Yeah.
if he's able to crush somebody, it's not necessarily the nature of the power. It is the nature of his power, the level at which that he is at. And we have seen that the Starks, all of them,
So your argument is the people he's observed are weaker than he is, and so we
exactly
don't. That doesn't mean that he would necessarily fade or that somebody strong would necessarily fade.
right, right.
Maybe. I tend to take him at his word that he knows what he's talking about.
I don't know him, so I think he's a liar. No, I'm just
Well,
kidding.
he's definitely terrible.
I like the idea. The only reason that no, I know it is extremely tenfold, and there's probably no chance whatsoever that it is true, other than why would Reynard go batshit crazy and then just go fleeing into the river after getting shot by a couple of after he just surrendered his sword?
They're slaughtering people. He's running away.
No. He surrendered his sword. He is on his knees, if I'm not mistaken. Then they shoot Greywind, and then he goes batshit crazy. What'd you say?
Mother Moyne says, by way of tinfoil history, Westeros mentioned time traveling fetuses, and Lizzie says, I'll not take him at his word. Abomination. All right, let's move on.
All right, sorry.
My point is, I don't think it matters. But anyway,
Hey, you hush. I like the idea that Robb
Yeah,
and Greywind are still out there. That's the only reason I want to believe it.
Hey, we believe in multiple correct interpretations, and you've got good logic for why it wouldn't be that way. That Varamir's only seen weaker telepaths. It's not an unreasonable interpretation, I suppose. All right.
It's as thin as this piece of paper right here. If not thinner.
Robb kissed his wife gently, promised to see her in their chambers, and went off with his lady mother. His steps led them toward the Godswood. Lothar seemed amiable. That's a hopeful sign. We need the phrase. That does not mean we shall have them. He nodded, and there was glumness to his face and a slope to his shoulders that made her heart go out to him. The crown is crushing him, she thought. He wants so much to be a good king, to be brave and honorable and clever, but the weight is too much for a boy to bear. Robb was doing all he could, yet still the blows kept falling, one after the other, relentless. When they brought him word of the battle at Duskendale, where Lord Randall Tarley had shattered Robert Glover and Sir Helman Tallheart, he might have been expected to rage. Instead, he'd stared in dumb disbelief and said, Duskendale? On the narrow sea? Why would they go to Duskendale? He shook his head bewildered. A third of my foot lost for Duskendale. Well, yeah, because you listened to Cat. Anyway.
Yeah.
You should have been keeping Roose close. That was really bad when she convinced him to send Roose, put Roose in charge. Anyway.
Isn't that one of the instructions from Ned? To keep Theon and Roose close? Or is it just Theon?
He doesn't warn them about Roose. No.
Okay.
The Iron Men have my castle, and now the Lannisters hold my brother, Galbert Glover said in a voice thick with despair. Robert Glover had survived the battle, but had been captured near the Kingsroad not long after. Not for long, her son promised. I will offer them Martin Lannister in exchange. Lord Tywin will have to accept for his brother's sake. Martin was Sir Kevin's son, a twin to the Willem that Lord Karstark had butchered. Those murders still haunted her son, Catelyn knew. He had tripled the guard around Martin, but still feared for his safety. I should have traded the Kingslayer for Sansa when you first urged it, Robb said as they walked the gallery. If I'd offered to wed her to the Knight of Flowers, the Tyrells might be ours instead of Joffrey's. I should have thought of that. Your mind was on your battles, and rightly so. Even a king cannot think of everything. Battles, muttered Robb as he led her off beneath the trees. I've won every battle, yet somehow I'm losing the war. He looked up as if the answer might be written on the sky. The Iron Men hold Winterfell and Moat Cailin too. Father's dead, and Bran and Rickon, maybe Arya, and now your father too. She could not let him despair. She knew the taste of that drop too well herself. My father's been dying for a long time. You could not have changed that. You've made mistakes, Robb, but what king has not? Ned would have been proud of you. Mother, there is something you must know. Catelyn's heart skipped a beat. This is something he hates, something he dreads to tell me. All she could think of was Brienne and her mission. Is it the Kingslayer? No, it's Sansa. She's dead, Catelyn thought at once. Brienne failed. Jaime is dead, and Cersei has killed my sweet girl in retribution. For a moment, she could barely speak. Is she gone, Rob? Gone? He looked startled. Dead? Oh, Mother, no, not that. They haven't harmed her, not that way. Only a bird came last night, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you, not until your father was sent to his rest. Rob took her hand. They married her to Tyrion Lannister. Catelyn's fingers clutched at his. The imp? Yes. He swore to trade her for his brother, she said numbly. Sansa and Arya both. We would have them back if we returned his precious Jaime. He swore it before the whole court. How could he marry her after saying that in sight of gods and men? Yes, who would possibly marry after a vow not to? How terribly dishonorable. It's exactly what Rob did, and we believe what Ned did. See Trip the Targaryens episodes 1 and 2.
I detected a hint of sarcasm there. I don't know.
Yeah. He's the Kingslayer's brother. Oath-breaking runs in their blood. Rob's fingers brushed the pommel of his sword. If I could, I'd take his ugly head off. Sansa would be a widow then and free. There's no other way that I can see. They made her speak the vows before a septon and don a crimson cloak. Oath-breaking does seem to run in the blood. See Trip the Targaryens episodes 1 and 2. Catelyn remembered the twisted little man she'd seized at the Crossroads Inn and carried all the way to the Eyrie. I should have let Lysa push him out her moon door. My poor sweet Sansa. Why would anyone do this to her?
Yeah, it's funny that she remembers the twisted little man that she sees at the crossroads because she started this.
Yep.
In a way, mostly.
Yep.
Littlefinger started it, but she helped a lot.
Yep. For Winterfell, Rob said it once. With Brandon Rickon dead, Sansa's my heir. If anything should happen to me. 5 and 6 and 11 near my keyboard. She clutched tight at his hand. Nothing will happen to you. Nothing. I could not stand it. They took Ned and your sweet brothers. Sansa is married. Arya is lost. My father's dead. If anything befell you, I would go mad, Rob. You're all I have left. You're all the North has left. You would go mad? There's some ominous foreshadowing.
What madness is this?
Good point. I'm not dead yet, Mother. No, not yet. Interesting choice of words there.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised they didn't capitalize it.
Suddenly, Catelyn was full of dread. Wars need not be fought until the last drop of blood. Even she could hear the desperation in her voice. You would not be the first king to bend the knee, not even the first Stark. One for each god, even the stranger. His mouth tightened. No, never. There's no shame in it. Balon Greyjoy bent the knee to Robert when his rebellion failed. Torrance Stark bent the knee to Aegon the Conqueror rather than see his army face the fires. Did Aegon kill King Torrhen's father? He pulled his hand from hers. Never, I said. He's playing the boy now, not the king. The Lannisters do not need the North. They will require homage and hostages, no more. And the imp will keep Sansa no matter what we do, so they have their hostage. The Iron Men will prove a more implacable enemy, I promise you. To have any hope of holding the North, the Greyjoys must leave no single sprig of House Stark alive to dispute their right. Theon's murdered Bran and Rickon, so now all they need to do is kill you. And Jane, yes. Do you think Lord Balon can afford to let her live to bear you heirs? Jane Poole might be a bigger obstacle than Jane Westerling. I don't expect the Ironborn to kill either Jane, but if they do, we will have to remember this.
Yeah.
Rob's face was cold. Is that why you freed the Kingslayer? To make a peace with the Lannisters? I freed Jaime for Sansa's sake, and Arya's if she still lives. You know that.
Did you see that pause?
Yeah.
Between Sansa and then ... like a Trump tweet.
Yeah, like she's an afterthought.
Well, yeah. It was done for Sansa. I almost said Sansa. I don't know. Sansa.
Sansa, whatever.
Yeah.
But if I nurtured some hope of buying peace as well, was that so ill? Yes, he said. The Lannisters killed my father. Do you think I've forgotten that? I don't know. Have you?
Oh, damn.
Catelyn had never struck her children in anger, but she almost struck Rob then. It was an effort to remind herself how frightened and alone he must feel. You are king of the North. The choice is yours. I only ask that you think on what I've said. The singers make much of kings who die valiantly in battle, but your life is worth more than a song, to me at least, who gave it to you. She lowered her head. Do I have your leave to go? Yes. He turned away and drew his sword. What he meant to do with it, she could not say. There was no enemy there, no one to fight, only her and him amongst tall trees and fallen leaves. There are fights no sword can win, Catelyn wanted to tell him, but she feared the king was deaf to such words. That is weird, because remember he's been chastised for drawing his sword when there's no enemies around.
Yeah.
Hours later, she was sewing in her bedchamber when young Rollum... Any idea what George is hinting at here? Maybe just pointing out that he's still a boy. He hasn't really learned his lesson. That's all I got.
Okay, there a few good men. All right, Tom Cruise. He has to have his bat to think. Okay, maybe he's drawing the sword. He's in his thoughts.
Maybe he's going to clean it. Maybe he's going to clean it by the the godswood.
Yeah, that could be it.
Or by the trees that are the best he can do for a godswood under the circumstances.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I like that. Yeah, I do like that.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll never know, but I do like that.
Yeah. Me too. All right. Hours later, she was sewing in her bedchamber when young Rollum Westerling came running with the summons to supper. Good, Catelyn thought, relieved. She had not been certain that her son would want her there after their quarrel. A dutiful squire, she said to Rollum gravely. Bran would have been the same. If Robb seemed cool at table and Edmure surly, lame Lothar made up for them both. He needed the bat for Xenu. He was the model of courtesy, reminiscing warmly about Lord Hoster, offering Catelyn gentle condolences on the loss of Bran and Rickon, praising Edmure for the victory at Stone Mill, thanking Robb for the swift, sure justice he had meted out to Rickard's Karstark. Lothar's bastard brother Walder Rivers was another matter, a harsh, sour man with old Lord Walder's suspicious face. He spoke but seldom and devoted most of his attention to the meat and mead that was set before him. When all the empty words were said, the Queen and the other Westlings excused themselves. The remains of the meal were cleared away, and Lothar Frey cleared his throat. Before we turn to the business that brings us here, there is another matter, he said solemnly. A grave matter, I fear. I had hoped it would not fall to me to bring you these tidings, but it seems I must. My Lord Father has had a letter from his grandsons. Catelyn had been so lost in grief for her own that she had almost forgotten the two Freys she had agreed to foster. No more, she thought. Mother, have mercy. How many more blows can we bear? Somehow, she knew the next word she heard would plunge yet another blade into her heart. The grandsons at Winterfell? She made herself ask. My wards? Walder and Walder, yes, but they are presently at the Dreadfort, my lady. I grieve to tell you this, but there has been a battle. Winterfell is burned. Burned? Rob's voice was incredulous. Your northern lords tried to retake it from the Iron Men. When Theon Greyjoy saw that his prize was lost, he put the castle to the torch. We've heard naught of any battles, said Sir Brendan. My nephews are young, I grant you, but they were there. Big Walder wrote the letter, though his cousin signed as well. It was a bloody bit of business by their account. Your Castellan was slain. Sir Roderick, was that his name? Sir Roderick Castle, said Catelyn numbly. That dear, brave, loyal old soul. She could almost see him, tugging on his fierce white whiskers. What of other people? The Iron Men put many of them to the sword, I fear. Wordless with rage, Robb slammed a fist down the table and turned his face away so the Freys would not see his tears. But his mother saw them. The world grows a little darker every day. Catelyn's thoughts went to Sir Roderick's little daughter Beth, to tireless Maester Luwin, and cheerful Septon Chael, Micken at the forge, Farland and Palla in the kennels, old Nan and simple Hodor. Her heart was sick. Please, not all. No, said lame Lothar. The women and children hid. My nephews Walder and Walder were among them. With Winterfell in ruins, the survivors were carried back to the Dreadfort by this son of Lord Bolton's. Bolton's son? Robb's voice was strained. Walder Rivers spoke up. A bastard son, I believe. Not Ramsay Snow. Does Lord Roose have another bastard? Robb scowled. This Ramsay was a monster and a murderer, and he died a coward, or so I was told. I cannot speak to that. There is much confusion in any war, many false reports. True. All I can tell you is that my nephews claim it was this bastard son of Bolton's who saved the women of Winterfell and the little ones. They are safe at the Dreadfort now, all those who remain. It is true that they are claiming that. Sadly, I don't think they're safe.
Yeah.
Frey pies for everyone, says Lucy. Theon, Robb said suddenly. What happened to Theon Greyjoy? Was he slain? Lame Lothar spread his hands. That I cannot say, your grace. Walder and Walder made no mention of his fate. Perhaps Lord Bolton might know if he has had word from this son of his. Sir Brennan said, we will be certain to ask him. Pod, don't say Xenu out loud. It's forbidden. You are all distraught, I see. I am sorry to have brought you such fresh grief. Perhaps we should adjourn until tomorrow. Our business can wait until you have composed yourselves. No, said Rob. I want the matter settled. Brother Edmure nodded. Me as well. Do you have an answer to our offer, my lord? I do, Lothar smiled. My lord father bids me tell your grace that he will agree to this new marriage alliance between our houses and renew his fealty to the king of the north, upon the condition that the king's grace apologize for the insult done to House Frey, in his royal person, face to face. An apology was a small enough price to pay, but Catelyn misliked this petty condition of Lord Walter's at once. I am pleased, Rob said cautiously. It was never my wish to cause this rift between us, Lothar. The Freys have fought valiantly for my cause. I would have them at my side once more. You are too kind, your grace. As you accept these terms, I am then instructed to offer Lord Tullia the hand of my sister, the Lady Rosalind, a maid of 16 years. Rosalind is my lord father's youngest daughter by Lord Bethany of House Rosby, his sixth wife. She has a gentle nature and a gift for music. Edmure shifted in his seat. Might not it be better if I first met? You'll meet when you're wed, said Walter Rivers curtly, unless Lord Tully feels a need to count her teeth first. Edmure kept his temper. I will take your word so far as her teeth are concerned, but it would be pleasant if I might gaze upon her face before I espoused her. You must accept her now, my lord, said Walter Rivers, else my father's offer is withdrawn. Then Lothar spread his hands. My brother has a soldier's bluntness, but what he says is true. It's my lord father's wish that this marriage take place at once. At once? Edmure sounded so unhappy that Catelyn had the unworthy thought that perhaps he'd been entertaining notions of breaking the betrothal after the fighting was done. Has Lord Walter forgotten that we are fighting a war? Brendan Blackfish asked sharply. Scarcely, said Lothar. That is why he insists the marriage take place now, sir. Men die in war, even men who are young and strong. What would become of our alliance should Lord Edmure fall before he took Rosalind to bride? And there's my father's age to consider as well. He's past 90 and not like to see the end of this struggle. It would put his noble heart at peace if he could see his dear Rosalind safely wed before the gods take him, so he might die with the knowledge that the girl had a strong husband to cherish and protect her. We all want Lord Walter to die happy. Catelyn is growing less and less comfortable with this arrangement. My brother, well, we want him to die anyway. I don't know about happy anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
My brother has just lost his own father. He needs time to mourn. Rosalind is a cheerful girl, said Lothar. She may be the very thing Lord Edmure needs to help him through his grief. And my grandfather has come to mislike lengthy betrothals, the bastard Walter Rivers added. I cannot imagine why. Rob gave him a chilly look. I take your meaning, Rivers. Pray excuse us. As your grace commands. Lame Lothar rose, and his bastard brother helped him hobble from the room. Edmure was seething. There is much as saying that my promise is worthless. Why should I let that old weasel choose my bride? Lord Walter has other daughters beside this Rosalind, granddaughters as well. I should be offered the same choice you were. I'm his liege lord. You should be overjoyed that I'm willing to wed any of them. He's a proud man, and we've wounded him, said Catelyn. The others take his pride. I will not be shamed in my own hall. My answer is no. Rob gave him a weary look. I will not command you, not in this. But if you refuse, Lord Frey will take it for another slight, and any hope of putting this in rights will be gone. You cannot know that, Edmure insisted. Frey has wanted me for one of his daughters since the day I was born. He will not let a chance like this slip between those grasping fingers of his. When Lothar brings him our answer, he'll come wheeling back and accept a betrothal, and to a daughter of my choosing. Perhaps in time, said Brendan Blackfish, but can we wait while Lothar rides back and forth with offers and counters? Rob's hands curled into fists. I must get back to the north. My brother's dead, Winterfell burned, my small folk put to the sword. The gods only know what this bastard Bolton is about, or whether Theon is still alive and on the loose. I can't sit here waiting for a wedding that might or might not happen. It must happen, said Catelyn, though not gladly. I have no more wish to suffer Walter Frey's insults and complaints than you do, brother, but I see little choice here. Without this wedding, Rob's cause is lost. Edmure, we must accept. Our characters are often wrong, and hindsight is 20/20. This acceptance didn't exactly help their cause.
No. It helped the Frey's cause.
Yep. We must accept, he echoed peevishly. I don't see you offering to become the 9th Lady Frey, Cat. The 8th Lady Frey is still alive and well, so far as I know, she replied, thankfully. Otherwise, I might well have come to that, knowing Lord Walter. The Blackfish said, I'm the last man in the Seven Kingdoms to tell anyone who they must wed, nephew. Nonetheless, you did say something of making amends for your battle of the Fords. I had in mind a different sort of amends. Single combat with the Kingslayer. 7 years of penance as a begging brother, swimming the sunset sea with my legs tied. When he saw that no one was smiling, Edward threw up his hands. The others take you all. Very well, I'll wed the wench as amends. Up next, Storm 36, Davos 4. A new hand and the burning of 3 leeches. Arise.
Gotta love me some Davos.
Lord Davos, hand of the king.
There you go. I know everybody is who would you consider, this is a really weird question. Who would you consider the heart and soul of the story more? Brienne or Davos? That's probably the wrong way to ask that question.
Well, I think it's, I mean, they're both telling the story,
yeah,
from different angles, but they're both telling the story of. I think that Davos is actually somewhat misleading to people, right? That they don't see that Stannis is echoing the Mad King because they see Davos as being such a good person, and it's funny to me how many of them think that Barristan is complicit with the Mad King when Davos literally sails the Melisandre out to do part of one of the Mad King's things, right, which is sending the fire sorcerer to use their fire magic to kill somebody who's their sorcerer advisor, fire sorcerer advisor, who's expecting a champion, right?
Oh damn! I didn't think about that.
Yeah, he's expected to face a champion. Like it's a strong parallel that he's executed people that are somewhat questionable in terms of politically, and he burns his own hand of the king, right? I mean, he's deliberately doing very specifically the Mad King stuff, and yet people will be like, "Oh, Barristan is complicit in all the Mad King's crimes," when Davos is literally making the visions come true. He even talks about it, how he's required to make it happen and so forth, right? And so he's so much more complicit in the crimes of somebody who's echoing the Mad King, and yet we love him so much that people will dog on Barristan, who we've never seen. Like, he's not John Derry outside the door. He's not Gerald Hightower saying don't judge the king after the flames. We don't see him do any of that stuff, and yet people dog on Barry and they just excuse Davos. And so I think Davos is a very misleading perspective of what's going on. A lot of people view him as in fact in book club people were arguing that he was the true view, and I'm like, no, he's very misleading view of what's going on. So I think Brienne would be my answer.
Okay.
I mean, I love Davos as much as anyone. More I get offended when people say that Barristan is complicit than anything.
Well, I mean, everybody's giving. I mean, I know Pod's going to get me here in a second, but they give Jaime all this crap about putting up with the Mad King and all that kind of stuff for as long as he did or whatever, and then finally doing what a true knight would, which is what he wanted to be when he was a child. Mm-hmm. Taking out the Mad King, taking out the pyromancers, saving 500,000 people, including
killing a tyrant to save people's lives.
Exactly. He saved his father and his father's men, even though they were sacking the city. By this time, Eddard Stark is in the city. Okay. If the city had gone up, it would have killed Lord Stark. So Ned owes his life to Sir Jaime. After all, he is a knight. So I mean,
then Benjen would have been Lord of Winterfell and not gone to the Wall.
Exactly. So I mean, in this world,
well, maybe not. Maybe Rob would be Lord.
Yeah, because I mean, there's already a marriage.
He's already married. And
there's already a child. So, but Benjen wouldn't have gone to the Wall. He would have stayed there to raise Rob, probably. But they're not allowed to. For imagine the Mad King, and you're standing at the bottom of the steps, and you turn around and talk to the Mad King the way Tyrion talks to his nephew. what do you think that Mad King's going to do to you? You're the next one getting cooked. You're the next one getting your head chopped off. They can't say anything. I mean, they're basically the Secret Service in this scenario, and they have literally no power whatsoever.
Yeah, Jamie even say when Brienne asks why didn't you tell anyone is what you'd have me break my oath and tell people what was going on with the Mad King. He's like,
Yeah,
it's like
they keep their
you'd ask me
secret.
to break my oath again. You'd ask me to break my oath again. Like he's like, why would I do that? Yeah. So
yeah, I mean there are. I mean, I know you pick and choose what you like about the person that you like, and you forgive the crap that you don't like. But I mean, there are oaths that Jamie kept, and that's one of them. I mean, you pushed the boy out. You damn right. No, nosy little boy that was sticking his nose into other people's business.
That's why I always say kill Jory. Like
Yeah.
I get like I would say Ned and Cat actually both seem to understand the brand thing. They almost seem to forgive Cersei and Jamie for that. Right?
Yeah.
They're like they both kind of understand what happened there.
Now, okay, on the killing Jory.
Kill Jory.
Yeah, but I don't know Jory, okay? But Cat has taken Jamie's younger brother. The only person in this world that cares for Tyrion is Jamie, okay? Other than Taisha, wherever she's at. That's his little brother. That's his job to protect his little brother. He did not get the answer that he liked from Ned. So I mean, there you go.
Dark Boris Putin's Tom George should mind his business.
Exactly. You tell him, Disney. Exactly. Off the top rope. That's my girl right there. Yeah.
I like Jamie. I just think we should acknowledge that they're right. I mean, I think Ned is a hypocrite and an oath breaker, and I love Ned. Right. I think Davos is complicit, and I love Davos. Yeah. Right. I mean, I can acknowledge the gray and still.
Oh yeah.
No, you're right. He's awesome. How did I miss it?
There you go. I'm glad to change your mind. No, there's things about Jamie that just suck. There are things that Jamie does that are conceited, egotistical, narcissistic.
That's part of what's interesting about him, right? Is that he's a villain who decides I could be the good guy. Exactly. I can write whatever I want going forward. My future is mine to choose, and I can choose to be the good guy now. I always wanted to be Arthur Dayne. I can choose to be Arthur Dayne, right? I don't need to be the Smiling Knight.
I mean, for the Jamie and Tyrion's arc, for them to crisscross, at the beginning, we have to hate Jamie. And don't get me wrong. When I first saw season 1, before I even opened the first book and saw Jamie push Bran out, I'm like, forget that bastard. Okay, I'm done with that guy. Now he did have really good hair. Like, I will give him that. He had some awesome hair. But I was like, I'm done with him. But and then Tyrion,
completely different in that first episode. Yeah, although their hair is completely different in the first episode compared to the later episodes.
Well, the first episode was pieced together with the pilot that apparently sucked. That almost canceled the show altogether, and then they redid. Like you can see, there are scenes that Sean Bean is wearing the Ned wig, and there's scenes like when Jamie bumps into him at the feast and is talking to him about we're about to be neighbors and all that kind of stuff. His hair is combed back. His regular hair is combed back and dyed, and the guy who plays Benjen has different hair in that scene than the wig that he eventually wears for the rest. I mean, you could see it pieced together here and there. So, I mean, I understand the hair is different. Tyrion's was a really odd shape or odd color there for a minute.
Yeah.
I'm tickled pink that they redid it, so we got the show. But I mean, you have to like Tyrion at the beginning. You have to hate Jamie at the beginning to get that crisscross, to get him the exact opposite of where they started out the book.
And he has to wish he's the monster that everybody thinks he is, and Jamie has to determine that he can change him. I mean, that's exactly the point, right?
Yeah.
And that's the point.
Well, I mean, my other favorite character that Pod doesn't like, the Hound. I like the flawed characters. And don't get me wrong, I like Brienne. I think she's one of the better characters in the story, just for what is inside her soul.
Well, and
I
we see
mean,
her struggling. We see her
exactly,
the struggles that
exactly.
she's got and
But
so forth. She's not
she's not perfect, but she's not
right.
flawed. She's not that broken
Right. She's
glass
not as
of a
she's not
reflection of a
as
person.
much of a hypocrite as Ned
Exactly,
or most of
exactly.
these
She
characters.
is
Yeah.
a friendly, honorable person. She does not fit in this story whatsoever. She
Although
is like a
that's part of
shining
the
light
that's part
like
of the point
Jamie's
of
dream.
what's going to happen, right? I
Right,
mean,
right.
I certainly think that she's not going to bring Jamie back. She's going to bring proof of Jamie's death. That's not really proof of Jamie's death, just as we
Yeah.
see every single other time that anybody promises to kill someone they don't want to kill, right? We see that over and over and over again. Yet,
Well, I think
it
that's kind of
amazes me how few people.
I think that's George's problem right now. He's kind of done the same thing over and over again on
Mhm.
certain matters. That he's kind of
And yet, it's
ran it
still not
into
what
the
people
ground,
expect.
huh?
Yes, that's my point. She actually is going to be a liar. That's my point, right?
Mm.
She specifically said she would kill him. She didn't say, I'm going to bring him back for a trial. Take the sword and slay the Kingslayer. She said swords. That means she's not supposed to bring him back alive. Catelyn's always opposed to trials, and yet the whole fandom thinks that somehow Catelyn, who has been opposed from trials from day one, who even after Lysa had announced that Tyrion had a right to a trial and had a right to trial by combat, said, no, you can just deny him this, right? From day one, she's been opposed to trials. Even when everybody says somebody's entitled to a trial, she says, no, no trials. She doesn't give a trial to Brienne. She doesn't give a trial to Pod. She doesn't give a trial to Hyle. She doesn't give a trial to Merritt. And she doesn't want to give a trial to Tyrion. And that is who she is. And yet the fandom believes that the way this is going to be resolved is that Brienne is going to lie about saying that she'll kill him and instead bring him back and he'll face trial. Does that make any sense?
Not to me.
Like, no, it doesn't make any sense to me either. And yet that's what everybody believes. And so you say he's done it too many times, then why does nobody expect it?
Well,
right?
I mean, it's true. It's true. It's true. Now, before I did believe that she was going to bring him back. She's going to give him Oathkeeper. He's been practicing with his left hand. It's a Valyrian steel sword. It's got Targaryen blood. It's going to come alive in his hand. He's going to kill everybody, fly out of there with a Superman S on his chest, shooting laser beams, and everything's be peachy. But you have convinced me. You have convinced me that there's not going to be a trial by combat. You have convinced me that she's going to bring back the hand. So,
and he's going to face the winner of the melee. And he's going to, I mean, arguably the best sword fighter in Thoros.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to stop thinking too. Thoros is not what he used to be, but we have now. This is my question on the Fire Whites. That's Barrack. Okay.
Well, no, I'm saying because he's lost all the weight.
Well, stop thinking about this. Okay, if the life fire scenario, you give him part of your life fire to
right, he could be weaker.
He's stronger, or he might be stronger, but he's just as strong, just as fast as he was when he was healthy, and now he's skin and bones, and he can still hold his own, and possibly even have beaten the Hound,
who's certainly a great
he was
fighter,
using a flaming sword, and I imagine it'd probably been a little bit different. But he went toe to toe with the Hound in that condition. All right. Now the person that is giving the fire, Thoros, in this matter, because we've already heard that Melisandre said that the king is not what he used to be. He is less and less each time.
Right.
One
So
more
Thoros
time
might be weaker.
Kill him. Right. Thoros is definitely not what he used to be. He is definitely. Barrack has stayed here, and Thoros has kept going down. You saying?
Saying kill him with the sword doesn't mean you must do it remotely. Well, but she wants to get away with it, right? She can still keep the vow to kill him and do it away from people, so she doesn't have to face the consequences of that. That's not preserving your life is not disobeying the vow.
Yeah, there has to be some type of loophole in the communication, in the words that were used to allow Brienne not to bring him back.
She is going to be a liar either way. So I'm not saying she's not a liar. She is going to be a liar either way, and that's part of the point of Brienne is that she's. In fact, doesn't she even vow that she's going to abandon her honor to accomplish her missions? She says something about I will lose. Something about I'm going to betray my honor. I'm going to give up my honor in order to make it happen, but I'm going to make it happen. So there is foreshadowing that she's going to become dishonorable, and that's
that lying bitch. No, I'm just kidding.
no. That's my point. Yeah, she's actually, and like I said, and either way you look at it, that's going to be true, right? Whether she says I'm going to kill him and it doesn't kill him, which is what everybody thinks is happening here, right? Is she's not going to kill him.
Right.
I don't think I've run into anybody who says, well, she promised she'd kill him, so she's going to kill him, and so she takes him off and she kills him, and that's what happened at the end. Like, I don't know anybody that interprets it that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just him and her. They're riding down the road. I think she's going to be completely honest with him, tell him what's going on.
Right. Well,
like
we're gonna see her show up. We're gonna see a Brienne chapter before Jaime chapter, and we're gonna see her show up with the Brotherhood and claim that he's dead, and Jaime's gonna be as dead as Davos was, as dead as Brienne was, as dead as Rickon was, right? As dead as Gregor is, right? As dead as the Hound is, as dead as dead as Loras is presumed to be, and so forth, or presumed to be about to be.
Well, I mean, okay, if she takes him back for a trial, there should only be 1 or 2 Jaime chapters in the entire next book, if that. If we even get it through his eyes, one, I mean, at minimum, okay. And then chances are we'll get a lot of it from her.
We could get the Dead Man chapter, and it's Jaime in the Quiet Isle.
But yeah, I agree with you. We'll get a Brienne chapter before. I mean, you can flip through the book before you even read it, and you see halfway through the book you got a couple of Jaime chapters. Then I mean,
it could be a while. It could be a while before we see Jaime.
Yeah,
and they will cross. Their paths will cross. I take it as make it your own when she makes the sword oath for Stoneheart. Make it your own. I'm not sure what that means.
Make it either or, kill him or bring him back for combat. Is that what you're meaning, Lizzie? Dracarys.
Take the sword and slay the Kingslayer.
Give her a moment to respond.
Anyway, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. Do we need to wrap up? What's
Yes, we're at 57 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I had more fun after the chat. Oh, hold on a second. What you say?
Really, there's a lot for wiggle room. She's super easy breezy in her instructions. Love her. Yeah, we love her too. Anyway.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Lizzie. All right, let's wrap it up. All right, it's Friday. As always, on every Friday, I wish everybody to have a safe and fun weekend. We definitely want to see you back here on Monday because we care about each and every one of you. But thank you for joining us. Sorry about Hump Day. Next Hump Day should be better.
We love you too, Lizzie.
Yep, definitely. Tell Baggins I said your cars. And we will see you at Davos on Monday. And everybody have a good weekend. Take care. Bye. Bye, Richard.
Have a good one.
Bye.